It's December, and October's Games I Played video ended up going a little deep into last month, so I wanted to get this one out nice and early, because while there weren't quite as many games on the list this month, there was definitely an amount of quality that shouldn't be ignored here. Now, Return of the Obra Dinn was a game I spent a nice chunk of time playing in November, but you won't find it on this list simply because I've already reviewed the damn thing. The short version is that it's a brilliant game that teaches us an important lesson on how storytelling can be used in games in a way that no other art form has a grip on. Here's a link to the review, go check it out if you haven't already. I can also say the same about Call of Cthulhu, which took up a nice piece of the beginning of the month. I reviewed that one too, and while it didn't quite hit all the right notes, it's still a game worth looking at if you're a fan of mystery and certain elder gods that lie sleeping beneath the waves. Here's a link to that one. So, this video might be a little shorter than previous entries, but let's do it anyway. And now, without further ado, the games I played in November. I've mentioned before that I'm a fan of games on the smuttier side, but that doesn't mean I'm a fan of crap either. My enjoyment of games like Honey Pop and even the more indie Photo Flash comes, I believe, from classics like Leisure Suit Larry. I've always adored those goofy Sierra titles, and that hint of adultness was something that I loved as a kid because I felt like I was getting in on a dirty joke that only grown-ups were meant to have access to. By the time I was old enough to buy these games for myself, the franchise had been taken out of the hands of its creator, Al Lowe, and given over to other people. And that led to two stupid, sort of mean-spirited games that didn't quite get the hallmark dad jokes and harmless nonsense that the originals had a reputation for. So when I saw that the German developer Crazy Bunch was making a new Leisure Suit Larry, I was justifiably nervous. But it turns out I didn't have that much to worry about. More than anything else, Wet Dreams Don't Dry feels like a reboot of the original Leisure Suit Larry, with Larry Laffer, an incompetent putz whose fashion sense wasn't even popular in the 80s, doing his best to become a ladies' man in the present day. I'm planning on doing a full review on this one, so I'm not going to take it much further than that, but if any of you are point-and-click fans who are wondering if this one would be worth your time, I'm here to assure you that it most definitely is. Some folks might say that this one shouldn't count, and I sort of see their point. Diablo III was released 6 years ago, after all, and while Blizzard is pretty great at adding new bits of material here and there as time goes by, it's still old enough that people are getting excited about the prospect of Diablo IV. However, this month, Diablo III and all its current expansions were released for the Nintendo Switch, and I cannot think of a better system to have it on. Between a new job and lots of life shit being thrown at me, having a classic, comforting favorite of mine to play on a handheld while lying in bed at the end of a long day? It brings a tear to my eye just thinking about it. It controls well, it looks terrific, and I can play it in the line at the DMV? Yeah, this is something truly special and worth mentioning. As I've pointed out several times in the past, Games Workshop just loves to sell its most beloved franchises to just about anyone who wants a crack at it, and that's led to a ton of crap. When I took my first look at Mechanicus, a strategy game based around leading the Mars-based cult of the machine through different Necron tomes in search of technology and lore, I didn't really have high hopes. The character models look decent enough, but when your entire franchise is based on plastic miniatures, rendering them in 3D ought to be the easy part. Having played a few hours, though, I can honestly say that this game just flat out impressed me. It is, for all intents and purposes, a strategy dungeon crawl. You've got pretty moderate battles ahead of you, but you've also got exploring, research and development, and the option to make terrible, difficult choices that could help or hinder your team in their search for that sweet, sweet Xenos tech. I haven't gotten terribly far in it, but this is worth a look if you're a fan of 40k. Like Diablo III for the Switch, I don't know if this one counts, but I just had to talk about it, so here we go. I'm a big fan of Vampire the Masquerade. It's a horror RPG of intrigue and politics and drinking blood candies, all the finest things in life. It's less about killing monsters and getting loot, and more about telling an intriguing story while also possibly being dressed up like Brendan Lee in The Crow. It was amongst my earliest pen and paper role-playing experiences, and it's another classic role-playing series that's had its ups and downs in the past decade or so. It was incredibly steeped in that 90s gothic punk aesthetic, and in an effort to update it for a new generation, the 5th edition of Vampire the Masquerade was released a little over a month ago. Its lore and overall world setup might be a little off-putting to some, given that it's focused very heavily on the heightened technological realities of our world as it is today, and that's led some people to dislike it, which is understandable to a certain extent. However, the changes in game mechanics are damn good if you ask me. I read this one cover to cover, and it really got me pumped to get a game going. I don't know, I'm sort of getting more interested in maybe occasionally doing a video or review on old school classic pen and paper RPGs. Let me know if that's something you'd like to see. So yeah, this was a shorter list than you'd normally see, although I'm not really sure what normal is. This is only my 3rd episode of games I've played this month. Either way, it's a nice feeling to play so much and have so little to complain about at the end of the day. Or end of the month, as the case may be. What did you play in November? Let me know in the comments, and remember...
If you like the video, click on like, and fave, and thumbs, and star, and heart, and push down there, and leave a comment. But only if you like it. And share the video on Instagram, on Farcebook.
If Daddy don't sink a little drinky, Daddy gets sad and blue. Sneak a little drinky, sneakity-doo. Sneak a little drinky past you. Sneak a little drinky, sneakity-doo. Sneak a little drinky past you.